Now let's take a look at the German setup. So when you set up second, sometimes, it's an advantage in some ways. You get to see how your opponent set up. And in some ways, however, you are encouraged. The way that the first person sets up definitely influences the way you set up too. So the recommendation that I've read is that if someone sets up in a fire group, maneuver group configuration against you, that especially if it's the German-American split, that the best thing that you can do is to also set up in a fire base maneuver setup. So I'm sure there are differing opinions on that, but we're going to go with that just to get into the game. So let's double check our scenario here. For the Germans, we're looking at personality cards 1 through 10. So let's drag those out. Parts, Germans, 1. Oops. I'm going to make this a little smaller. Alright, we have our 10. You'll notice some differences here. Particularly, there's one weapon here that the Americans don't have. It's a crewed weapon. Crewed, that's C-R-E-W-E-D, so as in having a crew. And you can see the firepower here for this light machine gun has they call it a boxed, it's the one in brackets, and a regular. You notice that the unboxed firepower or non-bracketed one is higher. So this weapon is one of those that benefits greatly from having an assistant, all right, somebody feeding you the ammo, maybe holding it, making sure it doesn't get jammed up, so that the gunner, the one holding the gun, actually can focus on shooting. So what you'll almost always do is have someone designated as a crew, as crew for this weapon, and we'll see that when we get into our setup here. So otherwise, we're going to do something very similar. We're going to mirror the Americans' setup. So our group B is going to be our fire base, and our group A is going to be our maneuver group. So again, we're looking at high firepower in group B, trying to get at least 9 firepower points, some at relative range 1, and try to go high morale for our maneuver group in group A on the left here. All right. And then we're also going to want to split our SL and ASL. So we'll bring our ASL over here. And the ASL here, he's got a machine pistol or a machine gun, right? So you can see that it's much more effective at close range than far away. So he's not going to be close, most likely, because he's in our fire group. We don't want him really close. So because he doesn't have much of an impact over there, we're going to make him the crew for our machine gun there. He also has a high morale, which is nice for the machine gunner and the crew, because they might not get pinned they won't get pinned as easily as lower morale people. So, all right, let's see if we can move these down a little bit. We'll set them up here and then drag them. Yeah. All right, we'll throw him over here. And all right, so we've split up our SL and our ASL. So both can do smoke and have some other benefits. And then let's move our lower morale into group B. And I'll say again, this is just one way of doing it. It's the way that I've come across. It's mentioned most often in my readings. So that's what we're going to go with. You're going to learn what works for you. Different tips and techniques kind of things. So. But this is just to get you started and have some idea of how to organize these things. When I first looked at even just the 10 cards, it's still, you wonder, how do I make these decisions? How do I arrange these things? And it's sometimes not enough. I mean, I kind of dove in and I recommend it, but it's bumpy, but you learn. So hopefully this will ease that transition just a little bit. All right. I think that looks pretty good. Let's move these guys. Let's put it like this. Right. And again, I'm moving the important personality cards to the end here. And for Group B here, the way that these would count off as far as their position goes is this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, let's check our firepower. So at range 1, we want at least 9. We've got 5. This guy is going to be crew, so you don't add in any firepower that he has. And to mark him crew in the physical game, there's a little cardboard shit. Here, we are just going to say he is condition crew. Alright, you can see there that it says cost 1 action to crew uncrew. That's true during the game. At the beginning and setup, it's free. So, alright, so we've got at range 1, we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're good. Okay, and our mostly higher morale people are over here. I'm going to scoot these guys down a little bit. And scoot these gentlemen down. Let's zoom out a little bit here. Okay, and you can see there's our final setup. Our American Group A and B and our German Group A and B.